sure I move that out of the
Do I
way.
have all my stuff open? Yeah, I do. Okay, we should be live.
I need to get the...
So I haven't kept up on any of the Fallout 76 talk. Like I saw Mackie on Twitter the other day saying he liked it. It seems like I have a couple other friends claiming that they're playing and liked it, but I don't even know what the critical reception to it was, is how out of it I'm in.
Not good.
Most of it is that I think it's what we were worried about, which is without NPCs and without, the larger overarching story that you typically get from the Fallout games, it feels hollow, I guess, empty. And I guess if you play with friends, it's a little bit better, but if you don't mind that it's not the traditional experience, I think it's probably alright. But if you're looking for a Fallout game, it's not gonna be that for you. And I think some people like Mackie is enjoying it, even though it is a different experience, and I think that's good. But for most people, it's sort of like, yeah, man, not really what I want.
You can take a look at the scores that it has out there in the reviews. You'll notice that review sites will rate it quite higher than the user review by a lot, and they will stray away from talking about a lot of the negatives. I would say from a lot of people that I spoke to who actually got the game, it's that there are a lot of bugs, server constantly dropping.
Yeah, a lot of server issues.
I mean, the bugs is a given. I mean, this is the Bethesda Elder Scrolls Fallout studio. They've never released something that is not buggy.
I think the problem is that there's no mod community to fix the problems that are there that we all knew would be there. So without
and it's still creation engine. Like, it's still this same old engine that's been limping along for a decade.
I heard that the VATS is like really bad from some people that I know of. That like the VATS does like an auto aim thing where it tries to like wrestle control from you because the game doesn't pause like in normal.
It's not your traditional VATS.
So it's like an auto aim VATS, which it just yanks you around. But the thing that I've heard from a lot of people is that the yanking actually makes the gunplay worse. Because it's not accurately auto aiming to the enemy, so it's almost like you'd be better without the VATS at all.
Yeah, it didn't. Like, honestly, like I kind of knew from day one, like the game wasn't going to be for me, just because, like, if I wanted multiplayer in one of those types of games, it would be a come into my world for a while and we'll romp around, or I'll come into your world for a while. I don't want
drop out.
Yeah, I don't want an all PC player world, so
I think the biggest complaint I've heard from people is that it's kind of like they just took a regular Fallout game and were like, now it's multiplayer without making any sort of the improvements you would want for a multiplayer experience. They didn't try and cultivate that properly. So it's kind of like it's like a reskin or an expansion of like Fallout 4, except no story.
Right.
And it plays just kind of worse it plays worse because it's not doing like the things that you would want from your normal Fallout game. Like the VATS doesn't work, so it's just like if they wanted to make a system where they just like, okay, let's remove VATS but like do something different. Also, apparently, like, inventory is, like, a huge problem where you have to pick up, like, all sorts of garbage, but, like, you get encumbered so quickly from the garbage.
Thankfully, they're patching that soon.
That's all of those games. Like, that's one of the reasons why I've always been a PC player on them, so I can be like, nope.
Yeah.
And, well, there's, like, base building, but because of the way the servers work, it's like somebody can just easily destroy your base that you're building. And...
Like, none of it really sounds appealing.
Yeah. It just sounds like if you want to play this game, just maybe don't buy it anytime soon and just wait for like improvements if they come.
I did hear a funny story about someone on one of the servers evidently like basically cosplaying the guy from Fallout 4 that wants you to build settlements and save settlements.
Oh yeah.
And he just he
Yeah.
just walks around the players telling them that a settlement needs their help.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Um,
I
which-
think it's probably fun with friends though. I do agree that,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of multiplayer games are better with friends.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I guess if you did have a private server, like it'd probably be pretty easy to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't it something like 20 or 30 people can be on the server or something at once?
I heard that if like 2 people tried to fire like nukes at the same time, it crashes the server.
That wouldn't surprise me.
So like
geez.
a lot of people say that like it's very easy to crash these servers with just like it's like they're hanging on by like threads.
Ugh.
So
Yeah.
Well. Oh well, they tried their experiment. Good on them. Ready for them to get back
Yeah.
to the bread and butter.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5, please.
Yeah. I think most importantly is just try another engine, or at least use Unreal Engine or something.
well they've already stated that they're not planning on making a new engine because
I
this
know.
engine is what they're familiar with and they don't want to make a new engine.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I've been begging, like I was before even Skyrim, I was begging for them to just switch engines, and now I've just kind of given up. Like,
Yeah. It's clearly not going to happen.
yeah, just
Domain in chat says Fallout 5, please. Yes.
Just give it to Obsidian so I can have the best Fallout
Yeah,
experience
seriously,
again.
like just
I mean, but give it to Obsidian, and then it's not coming out on a Sony platform anymore. I guess it doesn't matter to me. I'd buy it on PC
I'd buy it
anyway.
on PC.
well, I still think even with Obsidian and In Exile being under Microsoft's wing, I think Microsoft has proven in the past that they're still happy to publish on multi-platform.
I don't think Obsidian will ever want to do it again, though, because the last time that Bethesda worked with Obsidian, they gave them like half the time and like just like they just
18
really like drove
that
those
is-
guys insane.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That is the famous story of Bethesda's like, well, if you make a 90, we'll give you a bonus, and they made an 89 on Metacritic.
Yep, and they only had 18 months to make New Vegas, and it's one of the best Fallout
It's my
games.
favorite.
Yeah,
My favorite.
yeah. I don't know.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. But that's okay, because we won't be playing it.
That's right. I will not support that.
Yeah.
No.
I have hard time to find time for that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I already have 2 online games that I'm not keeping up with that I would like to keep up with.
I have one online game I'm holding on by my nails to keep up with, so...
I don't, and like this last month with like all my real life stuff getting in the way,
I
just
haven't even
can't
been
imagine.
home.
yeah, I can't imagine trying to add a third one into it.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
especially one where it's like, oh, I've been away from the server for a week and someone destroyed all of my base.
Yeah.
Leveled it to the ground. What am I even doing?
I'd rather just play Minecraft.
Yeah.
Private Minecraft server.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd hope like a private server on Fallout 76 would be a lot better whenever they implement those.
Yeah, when was that? March, I think it was? Is
Oh,
the
jeez.
the penciled in date, but...
I thought
mean,
it
if
was so much sooner than that.
Well, I mean, if
No.
the sales continue to be pretty weak, they might push that forward a little bit.
What was it? Like the game has sold like 80-something% less in Europe.
Wow,
Like
really?
something 87 or it was like 87 or 85% less than other Fallout games over in Europe.
Wow.
It's really bad. It's not doing well.
Well, I mean, positive and negative is their marketing worked. I mean, people knew it was a very different Fallout game, and they decided not to buy it. So,
Yeah.
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 You think they'll ever run a Fallout in Europe?
I don't know. I feel like Fallout 76 is the first game where I wish I knew more about the lore. Because, like, is Europe okay? Because Fallout has always focused on not even North America, just the America.
Well, I mean, Pip-Boy is very much a, 50s American life type thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So I don't know if they could apply that branding to Europe, but I'd still like to see the world of a devastated London or Berlin or you know, some famous city like that.
Right.
But
I don't know.
I guess it probably wouldn't do that though. Anyway.
All right, you guys ready to do this thing?
I am.
Let's knock it out.
All right. Since we don't have any news stories, I won't do a break. We'll just wrap out the releases real quick, and then we'll mosey on out.
All right.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
And Mina.
Hi.
Let's just dive right into it. Musum, what have you been playing this past 2 months, actually?
I've been playing Disassemble My Home and remodel the game and put all my money into it.
Home Improvement Simulator?
Yeah. I did manage to play a couple games. First off, I downloaded Dark Souls on Switch. When it was like a month or two, I said I was going to do it, and Jake from my old podcast was like, "Oh, that's real good. Like, buy the game that makes you want to throw the controller for the portable system."
Right.
But I really like it. I played it. I went out of town the other week and played it a whole bunch then, and this time, like when I played Demon Souls and when I first originally tried to play Dark Souls, I was really obsessed with kind of getting certain armors and leveling them up that way, because if you level weapon or armor, you can lock yourself out of, you know, transitioning it to a different style. Or at least Demon Souls was all about that, and I think Dark Souls had some of that in it. This time I'm just throwing that out the window and just come what may. It's a bonus if I get to keep the souls I have. Like, that's my attitude.
Right. You're going to try your best.
Yeah. So, last I basically got to the depths recently and got to Gaping Dragon. I know I've beaten Gaping Dragon before. I don't remember how. I kind of just thought it... Huh?
What is Gaping Dragon?
It's one of the boss's names. It's a...
Explain what a gaping... I'm just imagining like a dragon with his like mouth just going like...
Right.
just staring you down like, whoa, look at you.
Look at this thing.
Now I want like the positive reinforcement Dark Souls where the...
Look at your armor. Oh, it's so cool. Where'd you get that sword?
What is the Gaping Dragon? That's hilarious.
Oh man, it's like this. Imagine, I guess, a dragon if its entire top had like this mouth in it that
like
had all
these
spikes and teeth, like on its back.
Oh,
like on its neck and on its back and on its tail. So it's like a Venus flytrap, but it has like 4 legs and a tail.
That's crazy. Dark Souls.
Oh, I don't like that. I like my Gaping Dragon way better. Whoa.
Yeah, I don't. It's I don't know. It was. I don't remember how I beat it. Like, I was thinking, oh, did I get on this balcony and just shoot it to death? Like, it gives you a crossbow before. But the problem is, like, I got there and I'm cursed. And evidently that's something I should have fixed a long time ago. So now I got to decide whether I'd want to try and figure out how to get out of the depths, which the depths is like a sewers area, right? And there's a lot of falling to get to where you're supposed to go, I think. Which means I'm not 100% sure how to get back up.
Right.
So, like, part of me just wants to try and take out Gaping Dragon anyway, but it's kind of a long walk from the bonfire, because it's Dark Souls and it doesn't like you and want you to have a bonfire anywhere near where you have to repeatedly go.
And the shortcut's, like, after the boss.
Yeah, 100% has to be. So, yeah. But anyway, no, I'm cruising along. I'm using the Gargoyle Battle Axe. I've never actually summoned the NPCs to boss fights, and I did through this go round. Like, I'd always heard you can. I'm bummed because I can't summon the Saul guy, whatever, the Praise the Sun dude.
Oh, yeah.
he didn't give me his thing, so I haven't been able to do that. But I could pray. I summoned the guy who I guess is supposed to betray me at some point. I'm not real clear on what's going on there.
That sounds like a Dark Souls game.
Yeah. I don't know. It runs, I guess, Nintendo Switch version. It runs better on handheld than it does the main TV. The previous version of Dark Souls I played was on PS3, so this is kind of seems the exact same to me in terms of visuals. I do have one complaint in that on the Nintendo Switch, your enter button, and I don't remember what the labels say since I play too many different platforms, but on your right-hand controls, you have the 4 buttons. And on Switch, for your enter button, you're always pressing the rightmost button.
A is your rightmost button.
Yeah. So on Dark Souls, it's the bottom one. So,
of course,
it's the first Switch game I've played that has done that to me, I believe. So it's a little maddening in places. I wish they had thought that through a bit, but
yeah, like it's in the right place, but you're accepting with the B button. It's like, wait, that's not. I'm not supposed to do that.
The other thing I keep doing in Dark Souls is a guy will show up who has a bunch of spells I can buy, and then I just grind for like an hour getting souls for the spells.
Right.
Discovered like grinding really just has to consist of me saving at the bonfire below that dragon on the bridge, and me just running up to the bridge, letting the dragon kill everyone, and then running back down to the bonfire. And if I do that for like 15 minutes, I'll get like 10,000 souls.
Oh. So I only played a little bit of Dark Souls, like the first one, and I'm trying to follow along because I haven't been very far, but I know exactly what you're talking about. The dragon that just fire burns the bridge.
Yeah, and I've only ground to get souls for spells. I have not ground to get levels. Because I want to, like when I played Demon Souls, I basically got a shield that would have 100% block things, and I got a spear so that I would never have to let go of my shield in front.
You're untouchable.
Yeah. So this time I'm trying to actually like get my reflexes up and dodge and block and learn kind of the proper way to do things, and I think it's paid off so far. But anyway, yeah, like so I guess Mina, to give you some idea of where I'm at, the like that area, the bridge. After that, I already forgot the next area's name, so never mind.
I remember that, like, because this was a long time ago when I played it, but I remember that you could go across the bridge, maybe, or you could go down this little little stairwell thing. And I went down the stairwell thing because I couldn't figure out how to get across the bridge. The dragon was too intense. I don't remember where that. I feel like that. Oh, I remember where that connected to. That connected. It actually like brought you back to a place you had already been. Like you could drop the ladder and it drops you back to the place you had already been. Yeah, I don't remember where else it goes from there.
It's like a town or burg or something. Like they have like 3 areas that start with the word undead, I think, in that area.
The undead catacombs.
Yeah. And then like after that you go and you fight the whatever demon, the goat-headed guy with the 2 weapons and the wolves.
The Capra demon?
I could never beat that. I could never beat that. That was so tough. I could never beat it.
I would just go in, I'd run up the stairs, the dogs would follow, I'd kill the dogs, he'd try and go up the stairs, I'd go down, he'd come down, then I'd run halfway up the stairs, I'd hit him a couple times, and then eventually he'd figure out that he can't really hit me very well from there, or he would hit me, I can't remember which, and then I'd just rinse and repeat until he was dead.
Sounds like Yakety Sax should be playing.
So, I guess I just kept trying to fight him head on, and those dogs, they're rough. They just.
I don't know how anyone else plays these games, but my assumption is that every solution to a boss battle is a cheese thing, like the stair thing I did, and like. I guess except for that first boss, that Minotaur looking thing on the bridge, because like. He drops down, and I was thinking, oh, I can climb up to this rooftop and then get him better. But then he knocked me off the rooftop, and then he came down. And I found I could fight him a lot easier on the rooftop. So,
I know I fought him toe to toe. It It did not go well, but I eventually won. You know, just determination. Eventually, I got him. I ended up quitting that game after I beat the gargoyles. I was just so stressed out. I'm like, I'm done with this game. I beat the gargoyles. I remember spending like 3 hours.
Oh,
and I was just like, I'm done with it.
So the first time I fought the gargoyles back on PS3, like I was stuck on that fight for a while and just grounded way up. Like I was like level 30 or 40 or something by the time I beat them. And this time I just immediately beat them. But that is also possibly because I summoned an NPC that just kind of took all the aggro off of me.
Oh, I didn't know how to summon the NPCs. I just kept wailing against the gargoyles until I eventually won, and I was like, I'm done. I beat the game. I beat the gargoyles.
I did it.
I rang the bell. I'm done.
Well, and you have to be in human form to summon someone. And you have to have, I think the whites is the summon. You need a summon or something, I think, to summon people. And I think you get it from either the Praise the Sun dude or one of the merchants. You have to buy the stones. Or they give them to you. I can't remember. You would think I would, because I just did it like a couple weeks ago, but I don't. Anywho, and I'll try and keep this next game brief because I know it drives some people crazy when I talk. Warframe, new expansion, Fortuna. This is their new open world area over on Venus, and it is done like this is basically an indentured servant, like slave camp area that this guy runs. I always forget his name, but he's a really corny villain that is still corny in this, but he is actually pretty villainous in this too, in that he is like, I mean, it's almost like Repo the Genetic Opera. I don't know if anyone's seen that movie. It's a stupid movie, but it's like, oh, you owe me money. I am going to take your limbs from you.
Oh, right.
Payment for this. And sell your limbs off to someone. So, but it's a little more, like it has more story stuff to it. It has a little bit more, okay, I'm a character giving you a quest. You go run this for me and come back and I'll give you a thing. But unfortunately what happened to me when playing it is I got to it and played it and thought, I really haven't maxed out all my I forget what they're called, your NPC ranks or whatever, in Plains of Eidolon. So I really need to go run and do that. And now every time I keep playing it, I'm just grinding like mad on that, which I got a long way to go. I really don't like the grinding in the open world on Warframe stuff. Like it's the issue is you have, you know, you have different factions. That was the word I was looking for. So, like in Plains of Eidolon, you have 2 factions that you have to grind reputation for. And once each faction has something like 5 or 6 ranks. And each rank you have to have X amount of materials and money to rank up with. And all the material for Plains of Eidolon you have to get by fishing and mining. And this means going out onto the plains by yourself, which means you have to turn yourself in solo mode. Or at least this is how I do it. I suppose if you have friends, you could go out with them. But then you have to dodge enemies enough to fish, which they really built. Like they did not build those open worlds. Like they, what am I trying to say? It's very frustrating going out onto the plains with the intention of fishing, and you can't get enemies to stop attacking you. Like
there's no like safe spot where you can fish that you can just sit there and fish for 20 minutes.
So no, I'm sure like if anyone's listening that's a big defender of the game, like they'll, well, why aren't you using Loki? You need to be invisible the whole time you're there. And it's like, oh, okay, I do that, but I don't want to use Loki. Like I can wander around like the Elder Scrolls or Zelda and not engage people. Like there are plenty of open world games that don't punish you for wandering around the world, you know, like you still have enemy encounters, but
or like World of Warcraft will have a fishing, like a lake, and there'll be at least some area around the lake where enemies aren't really going to bother you and just sit there and fish for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little frustrating. And the other frustrating part, and I guess this part was less frustrating once I kind of figured it out. So like, there's certain fish that only show up at certain times of the day.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And then you also have to get bait for them. So the bait makes it easy because you get 2 baits. You get one that makes all the fish in the water glow, and then one that makes that specific fish kind of come by. And the annoying part is waiting for that time of day, which I don't know how they can get themselves out of, because they've kind of put too many things into their day-night cycle of, these eidolons, these things that you have to grind for this other faction only show up at night, and you get bounties, get them, and pretty big rewards from them. But then, like, you have fish who only show up during the day and night that you need to rank up your other factions, so it's a little frustrating. So I'm hoping O Fortuna doesn't fall into those same buckets. But so far, it seems like they have a handful of factions, and a lot of their faction stuff is based around collecting resources around the world, and actually buying people's freedom, oddly enough. Like, there's a vendor there who only deals in, I forgot what they call them specifically, but you're basically just buying people's debt up, like, to free them, which is a cool concept, but you... okay. I'm going to sound like a crappy person saying this out loud now. Think about it. It's a cool concept buying someone's freedom, but you get nothing in return other than
right.
some NPC you've never heard of is free. So I feel like, but this is not reality. This is a game.
Right.
And it kind of just comes off as a resource eater to a degree. But like, the aesthetic of O Fortuna is... It's not called... the expansion's called O Fortuna. Let me think. I think the city's called Fortuna, and I forget what the world's called. But you get these... They call them K-drives, which is kind of the best thing they've added. And that is a hoverboard.
Yes.
And using hoverboards around the world of Warframe is awesome. Like, they have all these, like, grind rails everywhere you can get on.
Yes.
Like, they have a separate point counting and a faction kind of deals, and you doing tricks on your K drive.
This is awesome.
It's pretty cool, and it seems like there are less things that aggro you around that world than are on planes, so I may not have some issues there. I'm not sure. I haven't really done that part yet, but it's also kind of fascinating, like, comparing and contrasting, like, the two worlds, in that, like, in Plains of Eidolon, like, the big load area, like, you kind of just walk to this giant door and it opens up and you're in this huge freaking type space, and that's your, loading the big open world space, right? And in Fortuna, it's like a tiny little room. It's just interesting seeing, like, comparing and contrasting, like, kind of their different approaches to things, and I think they're aware of kind of the grindiness of it all, and I think they're trying to think of ways to deal with it, but they can only do so much at a time. But anyway, I will stop talking about Warframe.
Warframe is still good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Mina, what have you been playing?
So, I've been really, really sick lately, and because of this, whenever I get really, really sick, the one thing that I end up always doing is trying a different mobile game. Because I find that, like, whenever I can't really look out of my eyes, playing a mobile game that can mostly play itself is, like, the best way to play a game.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to engage with it super, like, 100% of the time. Right.
So, this mobile game is a brand new one that came out. It's called Epic 7. Epic 7. So, I went into this game feeling pretty negative about the game. Like, pretty negative. And the thing about this game is it has managed to get me from playing around 20 different mobile games down to basically playing 5. And when I say I'm playing 5 now, I mean very loosely that I'm playing 5, but 4 of them I'm not really playing anymore.
So it's really just Epic 7.
It's really just Epic 7. It's really good. So, I don't know how to describe this game. So what I've been told by several people is that the combat itself is a lot like Summoner's War. So, because I don't know how to describe the combat like to any other mobile game that I've played. And I didn't play Summoner's War, so I don't know if that's an accurate representation, but it's what someone told me to say. So that's what I'm going to say. And it looks a lot like Dragon's Crown, like the visuals.
I'm looking at the screenshots now, and it has that art style that Dragon's Crown has. It looks very sharp.
It looks very sharp. It's actually made with a brand new engine. This company made this engine, and this is their first game.
Wow.
So, and it looks really good.
I'm looking at the subreddit, and it looks really good. I'm just gonna download it real quick while we're talking.
Yeah. So, I have a thing with like mobile games that I don't like games that make you want to spend money. I think the best way to play a game is that if you enjoy the game and then you want to spend money, you know, that's the right way to have the
like
game
it's encouraging you to, as opposed to like always having the handout where it's like, $5 more bucks, man.
Just give me the no, I don't. I hate that. I hate when games are just like immediately like, you know, you got to spend money to have fun. So this game is not like that at all. In fact, so something really interesting is that like there's like, you know, of course the typical like, oh, the 5-star characters, the 4-star characters, the 3-star characters, as with many gacha games, you know,
right,
higher tier. So what's really strange about this game is that like stat-wise, between a 3-star and a 5-star character, once they're at the same level, they have basically the same stats. It's not like the 5 stars have better base stats than the 3 stars.
Interesting.
And everything in the game can get up to the maximum level of stars. It doesn't matter if it's a 2-star trash monster that you find in the world that drops. That's a garbage little slime monster. There's a guy who took a 2-star slime that just drops as a random loot drop. He took that slime and decided to level the slime like it was a party member, and he leveled it and geared it. And that slime actually was the MVP of beating the normal mode of this game, chapter 10-10.
Jeez.
And he was like, it was a really good monster.
My little slime buddy.
Yeah, so he took the slime with him all the way. But it's really crazy because some of the best characters that I have in my party are actually base 3 characters. So like they're like, and I think what makes this game like really interesting is that it's the kits that make the character good, not like specifics about the character, like, oh, they have a higher attack stat or something like that. It's like, no, this character has the ability to poison, and they also have like this ability that boosts their first skill to make their 1 poison turn into a 3 poison, and then their second skill extends the length of all debuffs on the enemy. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, so like that's a 3-star character that I'm talking about too, and she's like one of the strongest characters in the game to me. Like she's one of the best. And then I think that's what I like about this game is just like, it's kind of like whenever you used to get like you know, if you're into card games or whatever, like if you got like a shiny card or a foil or whatever on a card, and that's what makes it rare, is that it's just like, well, this one's got a holographic on it. It's not different from the other cards. It's just holographic. It just has a hat makes on. It shiny. Yeah. So like I kind of feel that way about the 5 stars in this game, whereas like it's kind of like, yeah, they're 5 stars, but that just means that they're rare. Like, you know, you got like a shiny unit that not everybody's going to get, because of the rates in this game are pretty terrible. Like, not good rates. But it's kind of like whenever you get one of those like rare units, it's like, wow, I've got like a shiny looking unit. But it's not like, oh, now I can play the game because I have a 5-star. It's more like, oh, I got a shiny looking unit.
Yeah,
so
that's a nice change of pace, though, especially, you know, coming off of Brave Exvius, where it's like, oh, man, you didn't pull that cool 5-star, like, you're going to be a little bit behind the meta.
Right. So that's what I love about this game so far, is that, like, the sort of, like, you know, units are all really good, and what really makes a good unit is just the team synergy. So like if I'm going to fight a boss, it's like, okay, well I want these sort of abilities to face this boss. Now what units do I own that fit the role that I need? So even if like a unit is like, oh, this unit's not like the best unit in the game, it's like, well, the best unit in the game isn't going to work for what I'm going for team-wise. So like, this team has a better synergy and thusly is a better group. So it's really cool that I've like I said, I really like this game now, and I went in probably one of the most negative people about this game because I was just like, oh my god, look at the rates.
Right.
That's gonna suck. These rates suck. But like the game also offers like units that you can recruit. So like even if like let's say you had like the worst luck ever while you were polling, and you're just like, well, my luck just completely sucks, and I'm not getting anything good. By some miracle, you're like the one person who hasn't pulled a single usable unit somehow. There is like a bunch of units that you can recruit by doing like different types of little missions and stuff, and all of these units are pretty dang good. Wow. There's even a 5-star unit that you can recruit, and she's like really good to me because I think like most tier lists have her marked as like, you know, just below the highest tier or something like that. And she's recruitable. She requires a lot of, you know, grinding, a lot of effort, but you can get her, and I got her. So
nice.
I spent like a week grinding to get her. But like, yeah, this game is like really good, and it's really pretty to look at. I feel like that the devs are definitely listening to everyone's complaints, which is something that I really like when devs are really responsive, you know?
Yes.
So they've clearly got devs sitting in the subreddit, you know, watching the subreddit. They've got devs in the official Discord or whatever, like
nice.
Some sort of people in there, and they just like they take all of like people's problems and questions or whatever, and they really seem to be like actively like bringing these things up. So like there were some things that people were like, well, we want you to work on making more. We want cooperative stuff to do in this game with like our guild or whatever. And so they've already said, well, we've heard that you guys want cooperative stuff. We're working on it now. We've heard like, you know, and they send out dev letters and like a bunch of different things of saying like, we're working on all these things that people are asking for. Some of these, you know, are going to take a little time because we got to make this stuff, but some of it we can implement sooner, and it's just like we want to make sure that you know that we're hearing this. And so this is another thing, and this is like kind of like a bit of a controversy with people, is that like they will buff and nerf characters.
Oh,
now,
interesting.
They have never like buffed a character or nerfed a character to an unusable point, but they have taken characters that are far too good, like far too good, and apparently just like brought them down a little bit. They don't want to take like a character and just like completely make it unusable, but they've been taking like characters that are just too good and bringing them down.
That makes sense.
But in general, it seems to be like more buffs than a nerf that I've seen in the game. So I'm this is why I say don't spend money. Because I would say like just don't spend money until you're feeling good about spending money. And I really like the game. Oh, and the other thing that's really cool. So I know that like some games have like the you know, I don't know what to call it across other games, but like some sort of like monthly like, oh, I want to pay like maybe $5 and I get like X amount of the paid currency every single day for logging in or whatever.
Yeah, like a subscription thing.
Yeah, like a subscription thing. So this one has it too. It's like $5, and the way it also works is on top of giving you like gems, it also gives you like an XP bonus. So like an active XP bonus that like, you know, continues throughout the day. So I kind of like that a lot, because a lot of this is just like, you know, you kind of kill and grind stuff to get XP all the time. So it's just like a little bit more XP.
A little boost.
You know, a little boost. I like it. So I think that's kind of a nice way of adding something on top of just like getting your like, I don't know what to call it, the daily gems, the daily extra gems. And I don't know what to say. Like if you give this game a try and you go in with it with a very negative opinion like I did, I would say play until you reach basically like chapter 4, because by the time you reach chapter 4 of the game, that's when you've unlocked like all of the things you can do in the game, because it kind of drip feeds you like different things to do. So like you can't actually do all of your dailies until you've made it to chapter 4.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a pretty decent story. So then after you beat like, oh, this is the most amazing part. So like I beat like the chapter 10-10, which is like the final chapter of the normal mode. And then I unlocked what is called world mode difficulty, or it's like it definitely is the harder difficulty. It's just like, it really steps up the challenge. But like I thought like, okay, so it's going to make me retread all the same areas. I'm just going to get like, just going to face all the same enemies except harder. What I didn't realize was that there was the story in the harder version. Like it continues the story.
That's
so
cool.
I was like, oh, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, the on top of like so I think I have to like state this, because like whenever people hear like bad rates, they also get like this, I'll never get anything good in this game, just like bad rates. The way they also ensure that you get like good stuff eventually is number one, like events seem to always feed you like a 4-star artifact, which is like a special equipment thing that like kind of like really powers up your units. So that's like the first thing that they always do. And then like the other thing they do is like by like I think every month you get like 1 to 2 I don't know how to word this properly and to a normal term, but like basically you get like every month you get like 1 to 2 of this special pull that you can either pull a light dark unit, and light dark units are across the board are just pretty much really good, or you can get a guaranteed 4 to 5 star unit. Like you can
interesting.
do one or the other, and it's a guarantee. There's no like, oh, I won't get a light dark unit from this thing, or oh, I won't get a 4 to 5 star on this thing. No, it's
increased
a guarantee.
chances. Yeah.
Right. It's a guarantee, and you're guaranteed to get like 1 to 2 of these pulls every month by just logging in and just just playing. So nice. I feel like kind of like your luck, no matter how bad it is, you're almost guaranteed to get better stuff just by continuing to play the game. So it's not like you it's not like if like let's say on Brave Exvius you just have like the worst luck in history and you're just not able to pull anything by some miracle.
Right.
And you're just like, I never get anything. It's been like 7 months in Brave Exvius and somehow I don't have a single 5-star.
Right.
Like that can't happen on this game. Like that there's too many safety nets to make sure that you're going to eventually get good stuff.
That's a nice change of pace.
Yeah. So yeah, give this game a try, and if you like it, you should definitely tweet me stuff, because I love this game so much.
Yeah.
Like so much.
Well, I downloaded it and I just patched it, so I'm excited to try it.
I can't wait. And if you have questions, because you will have questions, this game is really bad about like it handholds you at certain points, and then it's just like, I'm leaving you, and then
free.
You know it will not explain anything after that. It's just gone. It pieces out, and then it's like, no, you should figure out how to do this on your own.
Right.
And
Don't
like,
you have the wiki open?
There's no wiki.
Oh no.
So like,
well, I'll hit you up then.
I mean, this is kind of like the problem of like a brand new engine. Like a lot of mobile games, like you'll notice that like all of the information of the game is out there. And because this is like a brand new engine, like it is a brand spanking new, like it was created and dropped into the world on August 30th of this year.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to like, really DAT mine this engine and just like untangle all the code to get all the information out. So without any DAT miners, without anybody sitting there and untangling all this code for everyone to just like get the dump on a wiki, it's all based on like somebody writing it down for other people to read,
right? Which
means that you're not going to find a very good source. They're working on it though. They're just, it's going to take a little bit long. Yeah, because they have to basically reverse engineer the entire engine.
Yikes.
So it'll be a while.
Yeah.
All right, and honestly, that was all I played this month. What about you, Boston?
Boy, I started and played a lot of Dragon Quest XI.
Oh, wow.
I'm so excited.
75 hours into it.
Holy smokes! So
yeah,
oh my God.
I had a very minor medical procedure this last month that required some sort of prep and recovery on both ends of it. That sort of left me out of commission for a while. So I thought, well, heck, why not try a really relaxing traditional JRPG? And man, I love Dragon Quest XI.
Isn't it good?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
How far did you make it, Mina? Did you make it to Act 2?
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, did you make it there? Because
I'm halfway. I'm almost done with Act 3, so I'm like at the end of the game.
There's an Act 3.
Yeah,
I didn't even know.
So here's the problem with Dragon Quest XI. It's the same problem that Nier Automata had. There are two distinct acts. This is not a spoiler, but the first act is, all right, let's get the 6 Dragon Balls, basically. Let's get the 6 Dragon Balls, and we're going to go do this thing, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Guess what? It isn't. RPG. So that's very clearly the end of Act 1. I thought they dealt with that really interestingly. I thought that first act was really great, and it was very much a Dragon Quest game, where it's blue sky and everything is going really well. And then Act 2 happens, which is a much darker experience, and I think they handled that in a really interesting way as well.
It reminds me of Final Fantasy VI in a sense.
Yes. Yeah, it's very much like Light World and Dark World, sort of. What is it? World of Balance and World of Ruin, I think it is in 6.
Sure.
But yeah, that's what I was thinking of as I was exploring the world in Act 2, where I'm like, okay, cool. Like, a thing happened that was impactful at the end of Act 1, and now Act 2 is the same world but different, and you have to explore the world again, but it doesn't. It didn't feel like I was like, oh my god, I have to go do all this stuff again. It was sort of like, all right, let's get back to it. Like, let's get the gang back together and let's explore the world, which was surprising for a game that.
Yeah, considering that like a lot of the things that people tend to hate about games is when it's like we have to explore the whole world all over again. Like we have to redo this all over again. I don't know exactly how they balanced it so well. I think the story's just so good that while you're playing it, you don't even feel like you're going through the same world again.
Yeah, which is crazy because my Act 1 playthrough was like 30 hours, and my Act 2 playthrough was 20 more. So, like, it's a significant undertaking. So, here's where I liken it to Nier Automata. Nier Automata, for those that didn't play it, you play through the game. It appears, and then at the end it gives you credits and a theme song, and it's like, thanks for playing, everything's great, yeah, all right. You're supposed to load that back up and keep playing. Like, you've only seen the first of 5 routes. Dragon Quest XI does that, but worse. So you do a final dungeon, and you fight a final boss, and it's like the big bad guy, and you get the full credits, and everything's great, and, the theme is playing, the Dragon Quest theme. Yeah, like, it's the whole thing, and then you save your clear file, and it has a star next to it. But you're not done. Like, you need to load that back up, and it doesn't load New Game Plus. It loads Act 3, which is very quickly so fundamentally different than the 60 hours that came before it. That I really wish I could talk about it, because there's a moment in there that changes Dragon Quest XI pretty fundamentally in such a cool way, but it's such a huge spoiler for something that happens like 50 to 60 hours into the game. But needless to say, when you finish the game and you get the little star next to your save file, you're 2/3 of the way done, because part of what you're doing in the third act is resolving storylines in that act that I hadn't realized I hadn't really finished in Act 2. Like, they got a satisfying ending and everything was okay, but you actually go and finish a lot of that stuff in Act 3 as you're sort of powering up your team.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought that was pretty cool. I think, to its credit, when you load up your Act 3, it immediately says, like, alright, maybe we should go over here and go check out this place. Wink. Like, it's very much... And then within a 10-15 minutes, you're off on a brand new storyline. So I think that's pretty great. And I would still be playing it now if I wasn't rushing through another game for top 10 that's happening very soon. So I have to... I'm, like, motoring through a non-RPG right now. But if Dragon Quest XI finishes as strong as it's been, and I'm at 75 hours, so I probably have genuinely 10 to 20 more hours, it will probably be in my top 10 RPGs of all time. I just think when a Dragon Quest game is good like this is, not all of them have been this good. 9 was fine, but certainly not my favorite. I think it really does something outstanding, like Dragon Quest V did.
Yeah.
Act 3 feels very much like the middle of Dragon Quest V, where the big story beat happens.
Yep.
It feels fundamental like that, where it's like, oh, okay, cool. This was a traditional game up until this point, and now it's something pretty different in a really great way. And I think you're right, Mina, because I was surprised when you were talking about this. I think it was last month or 2 months ago.
It must have been.
Yeah. I was surprised when you said the story was really great, and I was like, okay, yeah, like, let's get this
right.
Let's get the Dragon Balls, like, woohoo. But the story is actually really great. It is, I feel like, it is fairly predictable, and it is fairly straightforward. It is a game that's meant for all ages, so I feel like there's nothing super crazy or super risque happening in this game, but I think a large part is it's one of the best translations I've played in a really long time. Number one, just for the quality of it. Number two, for the Dragon Quest puns. Those are always really great. What's the little pigs with the witch hats on? The hat hamwitches?
Oh, they're so cute.
I love it. And then, like, hat shamwitches are, like, the better ones. Like, it's so good. But also, I know, Mina, you and I especially were really disappointed on Ni no Kuni 2's lack of voice acting.
Man, was I disappointed in that.
Yeah, Dragon Quest XI, I feel, is the polar opposite of that, where seemingly everybody is voice acted. They are all actual European voice actors. So if someone's Scottish, they brought a Scottish person in the booth, and they're just speaking. It's not just...
But you can also tell how much fun they're having whenever they're doing their roles.
Yeah.
Like, Sylvando's character is living for that role.
It's one of my favorite characters in RPG history is Sylvando. It's just this, like, huge, flamboyant expression. This character is just... It's a character. It's this big personality, and he's really great. I've never been let down by Sylvando. But man, Dragon Quest XI is outstanding. I think I'm running it on PS4, a PS4 Pro, on a 4K TV, and it just some of the best texture work I've seen in an RPG in a really long time.
It's real good.
One of my bigger problems of the game is the motion blur when the camera's moving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I sort of started ignoring it within like the first hour or so.
Yeah, I think eventually you kind of like roll with it, but I think initially I noticed it too.
Yeah, I saw a posting from Square Enix that was like, "Oh, you guys don't like that, huh? We'll look into turning that off for maybe an option. Maybe we didn't think you guys would dislike it." And it's like, yes, please. Your game looks so good that I don't. The motion blur is really out of place. But I don't know what else to say about Dragon Quest XI, because I feel like fundamentally the fighting system of it is the same. Turn on classic mode. Don't play it in the wander around the field mode, because it doesn't do anything. Like, it's not like a Tales game where, you know, positioning matters. You can just walk around while you're barfing. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know, the music is disappointingly MIDI.
I think that's honestly my biggest complaint is the music. I mean, when I listen to, like, if you go back and listen to, like, Dragon Quest VIII, where it sounds like a full orchestra and it's just beautiful, and then you listen to 11 and it's just like, what? It's not
good, and each track is pretty short. It's one of the few elements in Dragon Quest XI that feels like it hasn't evolved over time. You know, it's...
I heard that it's because the composer himself just refused, that he didn't want, like...
Yeah. He's a garbage human being, and that's one of the reasons why. To me, it's one of those things where everything else has evolved over time. Even skill trees, even how you fight, and swapping characters in and out during battle. You know, these are things that Dragon Quest didn't used to do. It was very much, you have 4 party members that stick with you for the whole game, and that's it. And I feel like it would be Dragon Quest XII would be a really great time to bring in a new composer and sort of breathe that last bit of life into the series.
I would definitely have given this game, like, a perfect game score, if I could give it a score, if the music wasn't so disappointing to me. I would give it, like, the best score I've ever given any game.
The 10th out of 10. But I mean, for me, I turned the music largely off.
I can't do that on my streams. People would lose their mind.
I know, and it's only because it's just a lot of times I have this game paused while I'm, like, reading a book to my kid or something, and hearing that same 45-second loop is just a little too much. But Dragon Quest XI is incredible. I know it's out on PC and PS4, and I know it's coming out on Switch in the future, but I don't believe they have a launch date for that yet. But I think if you like JRPGs, I think you need to play Dragon Quest XI. Yes, it's 100 hours, just flat out. Like, I think the best way to play it is probably an hour or two here or there.
I would say make sure to reserve the first 4 to 6 hours of the intro. You want to sit down and get through that part. You definitely don't want to miss out on. I think for me,
once you get to, I would say probably the first 2 hours, personally.
There's a moment, though. I would say that
there's like a whole intro where you're sort of, you and your best friend are in this first town. I feel like when you get to the castle and there's a scene after that, to me, that's a pretty natural first stopping point.
Oh, yeah. After you've recruited your first party member, I would say you can stop here, take a break, come back to it.
I'm hoping it runs well when it comes out on Switch, because I feel like that would be a much easier sell for a lot of people, because you can put it in rest mode and you can kind of play it in bed, and it's a very relaxing game. So I feel like I certainly wouldn't fault anyone for waiting for it to come out on Switch, because that seems like a really great platform to play it.
Do you think that the Switch will, like, is it too high end to run or look as good on the Switch, do you think?
No, I think for me, if they bring the graphics down a little bit, or they bring the texture work down a little bit, I don't think that's really gonna hurt it. I think the style of it is what really attracts me, because it's this blue sky game, and it's these overgrown jungles and these fiery caverns, and, you know, it's I think if they do bring it down a little bit for the Switch, I think that'll be fine. I would be bummed if it didn't run as well. I'd be a little bit...
It's very smooth on the PC, so...
Yeah, it's very smooth on PS4. I feel like if they bring the graphics down a little bit to make it run better, that would be my preference.
Yeah.
It's such a weird world we live. It's actually on PC, like...
yeah, like PC, PS4, and Switch. You know, it's like a weird trilogy of releases. But yeah, Dragon Quest XI I think is a must play.
You know what people are gonna want from us, Boston, especially the people who watch my Let's Plays. They're gonna want a spoiler cast for this game because we are not giving it justice talking about this.
No,
game.
yeah, I'd be happy to do a spoiler cast because
I'm gonna have to burn through it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. I will give one last suggestion though. Whenever anyone starts Act 3, pull out a walkthrough and just follow that walkthrough to a T. There is so much stuff that is pretty easy to miss that is either fun or will give you a cool piece of armor or equipment or something that's really easy to do. It's just you won't know to like go over here and go up there and oh there's a mini boss battle over here and gives you a really cool sword. So it's been out for a couple of months now, so there's a bunch of really good walkthroughs. To get you all ready to fight the actual for real final boss. Probably. You know, who knows? But that's all I've been playing, so let's talk about RPG releases for December 2018. First up, Persona 3, 4, and 5 dancing games come out on PS4 and the Vita on the 4th. So there's two pieces of notes here because this release is weird. If you get the collection that has both 3 and 5 in it, you get the Persona 4 dancing game as well, but only on PS4. Because it already came out on Vita. So that's weird. I would recommend maybe reading some reviews for the Persona 3 and 5 dancing games before you purchase them. Just FYI. They are, let's say they appear to not be as feature-rich as 4 was. So
I guess 5 has... Or I guess they both have VR too.
Yeah, they do. I was just reading about that this morning. You can't play the rhythm game in VR. It's only like looking around Persona environments in VR. So that seems weird. Largely useless to put it out there. So yeah, I don't know. But Persona 4 Dancing is still really good. So I'd recommend 2 thumbs up on that one. Wasteland 2 Director's Cut comes out on the Switch on the 4th. That seems like a really great platform to play that on.
I wouldn't mind playing it again, honestly.
Yeah. I have it for PS4 and I never played it, mostly because it's a little intimidating. Not gonna lie.
Well, and they built the original game for like the Steam controller, so I think it translated pretty decently to console controls when it did.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll pick it up because I don't think I want to pay. I mean, I think it's like $30 or $40 or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
And I'm more in like a $15 to $20 mood for it. Yeah. So
I feel like it went on sale on both Steam and PS4 pretty regularly. So I feel like if you're listening at home and you're in the same position that Musum is in, I'd probably just put it on your wish list and just kind of keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
The Last Remnant Remastered comes out on the PS4 on the 6th. This is the PC version, so it's the fixed, the unbroken version of The Last Remnant.
Didn't they remove this off of Steam?
Yes, it got removed so they could put this version up, and I don't... It's confusing on Steam. So
yeah, I remember them removing it, or I think it was this one, off of Steam.
Yeah.
And that, so that way they could re-release.
Yeah, but I think it's largely been the same price. So I think it's mostly like, hey, we're sort of done supporting that. Here's the brand new one. It's like they brought it up into Unreal Engine 4, and they did a bunch of improvements to it. So if anyone's interested in playing Last Remnant, it's a really good game. Play with a walkthrough. This is your only warning. Do not play it without a walkthrough. You won't be able to beat it.
I tried playing it without one, and I stopped playing because I got very confused.
Yeah, you won't be able to beat it. There is they make it a lot less annoying in this version, so it's a lot less likely to totally screw yourself out of being able to beat the game. But please play with a walkthrough. Please, please. It's a really good game that will easily let you not beat it. So, it's a weird game. Last but not least, Knights of Pen and Paper 2 coming out on the Switch on the 13th. This is a series of games I really liked on iOS, and that's coming to Switch. So those are some pretty cool pixel-based, sort of straightforward RPGs. But that's all our episode for this month. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. You can find and follow us anywhere on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers for all the Patreon stuff. Help us fund the show and help us bring you some cool behind-the-scenes extra stuff. And I think that's it. Where can we find you online, Musum?
You can find me, my musical hub is jbaudio.net, where you can buy my music almost anywhere digital music is sold, but in particular, musum.bandcamp.com.
And Musum just did the intro music for We Rogue Like It, the new show that Moon and I are doing. If you haven't listened to the show, you should do that. And now it has a cool intro, where before it had none. So, 2 thumbs up. And Mina, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitch or on YouTube under Mina KO Rocket. And you can also find some of my stuff under Mobile Mina for all my mobile game goodness.
And you can find all my shows at e1m1.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all next month.
Bye.
And thanks for watching us live, except for whoever was being a real dick in Mixer. Don't be sexist, dude. It's not cool. We'll see you next month. Bye.